I know y'all motherfuckers heard this shit before. Talk is cheap. Who the fuck you think you is? Who gon' stop me? 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 Who? You? Not hardly. Seriously, I lyrically render thee my enemy. Your pretentious be clearly, sincerely to be the end of me. But I am what you pretend to be. You lack this intensity. I presently possess the tendency and weaponry to breathlessly in your tendency. The bullshit that you mumble don't make sense to me. You really wanna get at it? Say my name, I'll make it happen. Fuck the chitter chatter, let's get this shit cracking. Who gon' stop me? 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 Who? You? Not hardly. My superior interior rearranges your
all I have in this world is my thoughts and my word, and I don't break them for no one. You understand?
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers.
I am the prodigy, probably an oddity, commodity to fuck up your psychology. I honestly, possibly, constantly body these fucking wannabes. I am the novelty, fulfillment of the prophecy. I am apostasy's atrocity, demonstrably an anomaly. Just check the verbosity, my anthology. What you want, I do this shit unconsciously. I told you after Devil's Night, I'm coming down swinging, hit 'em with that boom, and keep their heads ringing. Boom, I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom. I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom. I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom. I told you what I do. But you sleep? I told you what I do. What if I just switch the flow? Let the pieces fall, call it domino. I kill in force. Idaho, you the hoe. I know you know how to ride this boat. Rodeo. Like fuck with you a little, ripple, cripple. But I give you this pickle. What am I trying to say? If A can beat me, then we can see it. And after that, yeah, you can get the D. Boom. I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom. I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom. I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom. I told you what I do. But you sleep? I told you what I do.
So say good night to the bad guy. Come on. The last time you're gonna see a bad guy like this again, let me tell you.
What up, what up, what up, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Atheist Network Group YouTube channel. You've stumbled upon an atheist YouTube channel where we love theists most of the time. Well, we try to. We try to. What's up, everybody? We're Oz in the building. What a rush. Hope everybody's well. Tomorrow's Friday. Might be Friday where you're at already. Congratulations. Thank fuck it's Friday. Because, we don't thank God shit around here.
Do you have a warm, fuzzy feeling in your stomach right now?
Oh, it's the Holy Spirit. Tonight's just regular old whiskey. But what's up, everybody in the chat? Malcolm, Teen, Crystal, Ed, and I know Craig, probably missing. Look at the trees. What's up? I think I said it. What's up, Crystal? I think. But what's up, Crystal? Yeah, just a couple announcements, and we'll get into what's up, Captain. We'll get into some new. What we're gonna do. Yeah, this is how we're gonna do it. I'm gonna show you some new footage from the last several days of good old Pastor John flailing his Christianity around the interwebs. We'll do a little refresher on what happened to Pastor John when we had Seth Andrews on here, part of Tang Gang. And then we'll do a little old school review of 3 years ago and how much Pastor John has not learned. It's a treat, man. It's a treat. Let me get these announcements up. In the meantime, have a drink.
What a rush!
March 20th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll have more before this, but this is the one we officially have in the books. The next UDC debate night. Kaz from Atheist Edge going up against Michael Granado, and the topic will be, should we support transhumanism? I think that one's going to be, I'm liking these, I mean, we'll have theists on too, but I'm liking these atheist versus atheist, skeptic versus skeptic debates are kind of fun. A little more interesting because you don't just get the same, well, I believe because the Bible tells me so. You don't get that bullshit. And then tonight, I'll probably do a little DJing later in celebration of my newest single dropping tonight at midnight. Boom will be available on all of your major streaming platforms. And then it's officially official. May 13th, my second studio recorded album, 10 tracks, but I wrote one last night, so I'm either going to have to replace one or add one. I'll probably replace one. So I stay at the 10. I don't know. We'll see. But May 13th, that'll be available on all of your major platforms. Even iHeartRadio and shit for those that still live in 2005. Anywho, let's get to the fun shit. Yes, transhumanism. I had to look it up too when I first heard it. Once I read it, I was like, oh, I didn't know that that's what this was called. But yeah, should be interesting. Go O's. What's up, Rachel? What's up, Mr. Hudson? In the building. Yeah, let's get old Reverend up here. Possibly, maybe. There we go. All right, so this took place in the, how do I describe this? The deepest, darkest underbelly of ridiculous Christian and diseases. And old Reverend found himself talking to Tom Rabbit. And if you know Tom Rabbit, familiar with his content, even when he's speaking, he can be cordial, he can be cool, but when you're just being ignorant, he'll let you have it. And that's kind of what transpires here. So Let's get it on.
What a rush!
And I do have it sped up 1.25.
I was told that you quit your job at the church.
You are 100% correct. I walked in one Thursday and walked out that same Thursday.
Oh, and to give context here, context matters with these Christians. It can be a little bit confusing because they're talking about two Johns. So there's Reverend John, and then there's dipshit John Lee that squabbles around this Clubhouse app. Has some of the most fucked up views you've ever heard in your life. And he has made reference to whatever, that he's been married for 16, 18, 19 years, something like that. Well, it just became public knowledge that John Fuckstick Lee indeed has not been married for all of those years. So now they're asking all the other Christians, this is, fornication. This is a sin. What do we do to help John Fuckstick Lee? That's the conversation. And then you get to hear Reverend absolutely just shit on himself.
I'm actually, I'm in a U-Haul right now, driving back down to Florida because I accepted a position at a church there.
And what position?
Youth and worship. My wife is the worship pastor. I'm the youth pastor.
That's a no-no.
As a pastor, what would your recommendation be to John Lee?
My recommendation in something along those lines, like I said, from a moral standpoint, I don't.
Damn straight. Let's keep it damn straight. I don't know about your scream name, whether I know you or not, so I don't know if I love you. I might not like you at all. Not sure who you are. I don't have hate. I find a lot of this shit to be ridiculously hilarious, especially Reverend. But I actually have a beautiful girlfriend that I date often that's sitting right across from me. So it them assumptions suck. Try harder.
Like it
Wow, man! If this were a test question and your other colleagues and reverends were sitting there, I would have zero faith in you. This is a gimme question, bro.
Yep.
No, it's not. It's nuanced.
Why is it always nuanced when it's a Christian who has this dilemma, but if it's an atheist who's living in sin, it's not nuanced at all?
Because an atheist
sin is not nuanced.
No. So here's the thing. An atheist is already technically living in sin by being an atheist, right? So I don't really care what an atheist does.
Yeah, but I can make my commitment to my spouse and have us be one flesh and say everything's fine.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, no, it's not. But for a Christian, you're making all kinds of excuses for this.
Wait, are you saying
I
that?
haven't made a single excuse. I just said it's nuanced. The idea of marriage in general is nuanced.
So they're not married; they just live.
Like for example, if we're just taking this from
take care of that.
scriptural standpoint or moral standpoint within our religion, that's what I'm saying is nuanced, right? So in the Old Testament, you have multiple wives. You have the idea of there's actually not really a ceremony or vows or anything. They would do stuff. They do like a dowry, and it would be more of like a payment.
Yeah, none of that happened.
None of what happened?
John did not pay a
dowry.
John did not exchange a dowry.
No party.
Oh no,
no
I'm
ceremony.
Not saying this to John. I'm like I said, this is what I'm saying right now.
Yeah, no dowry and no payment, but lots of fucking.
No goats were exchanged.
Yeah, that's no. I'm not referencing this in relation to John. I'm just.
Cool story, bro. Funny thing is, you're here talking to me about it. Seems ridiculous, maybe?
Saying from the question, I'm not sure who asked. I'm not looking at my phone right now. Whoever said when it's an atheist, it's a
Find
problem.
out that
When
they're
it's a Christian,
just
it's not.
Christians. They're just living together. Marry.
Yeah,
what would you do?
And fucking.
A lot. What would you do? What would you say to them? Like, welcome, or get your shit.
I mean, the first question I'd ask is just why not actually get married?
Oh, they can't be bothered.
They're scared of commitment.
Good.
That was his answer.
Peace out.
Yeah, that's
John's answer was that he never even thought of it.
Or hit you in the shitter.
well. I mean, John, I love you to death, but I think that's dumb.
When pressed, he
Like
said
I said,
it was a commitment issue.
Say what?
When pressed, he said it was a commitment issue.
And you've been with her for how long?
19 years.
I don't think you have commitment issues. I mean, they're just going out on a limb here, but I think being with the same person for 19 years in any capacity
What's
kind
up,
of
Pat?
shows that you don't
What's up, Mac?
have commitment issues. Like you said, you're not really
So it'll spice up here in a minute when Tom starts asking a little more of the hard-hitting questions, and he just stumbles and fumbles over everything.
legal under the law of the land. So I agree with the atheist forum on that side of things. If you're going under the law of the land, then yeah, that's problematic. You're not legally married in whatever state you're in, especially if it does not have common law. If you're talking about it being a moral thing, like a spiritual thing between you and God,
Cray, they're talking about John Lee.
that's more nuanced. Like my recommendation for people is that they get married, but if they don't, it's not. It's weird.
I don't get. You're saying your recommendation is to they get married, and if they don't, it's like trailed off. Like, I mean, bro, I'm no pastor like
More Christian on Christian crime. Yeah, me.
like you, but I think it's like my understanding if like you're gonna be a fucking.
What a rush!
Oh, John Lee, you can go back. This is probably like a year or so ago now. John Lee may hold some of the most fucked up views as a Christian you've ever heard. He's disgusting.
And you ought to be married. Do you think differently?
So that's where I'm saying it's more nuanced.
Wow, dude, you're a fucking joke, man, dude. Seriously.
Appreciate it, man.
You're a pastor? You're a pastor,
Yeah.
right? You can't answer that question? That's a fucking joke, dude.
What's the answer?
I love Tom.
You ought to be fucking married if you're going to be a fucking, yeah.
According to what? So if we're attacking this from a pastoral perspective.
You got to be fucking married if you're going to be fucking. Shout out to Tom.
According to what?
Christianity? Orthodox Christianity?
Where?
Like, I can't believe what I'm hearing right now.
Wait, I'm just asking questions. Where?
Well, like fornication is like defined as like being, like it's like it includes fucking outside of marriage. Fornication is a sin. Fornication is, well, you can't be fornicating with your wife, right?
There's a couple.
Now listen. This is when I say the flailing, the continued flailing all over the interwebs. Listen to these gymnastics, ex-Christians. Listen to these gymnastics and they're just foolery.
Like I know you guys don't really care about this, but it's relevant to the conversation. The Greek words that are used there for sexual immorality, or the closest thing you can get to is the word for impurity. So like we look at purity versus impurity, but even that can be in relation to cultures having pagan ritualistic sex and stuff like that. Like,
but we're not talking about it. We're just talking about a good missionary, good old missionary fucking.
Good old missionary.
If you're doing that, are you fornicating with your wife? Are you fornicating with your wife?
That's not what the word fornication means. That's what I'm saying.
Doesn't matter. I asked, are you fornicating with your wife if you're giving your girlfriend just you're living a good old missionary fucking is? Are you fornicating?
I love Tom.
So it depends how you're using fornicating. Do
you have a warm, fuzzy feeling in your stomach right now?
using it from a biblical perspective or like
under your view? Under your view.
Haven't I answered like 5 times that I think it's more nuanced?
Well, is
John, quit playing dumb, bro. You know what the Bible says, and Tom said it better than the Bible does. If you want to be fucking, you gotta be fucking married.
Accounting for nuance is the answer, yes or no?
I'm not sure. Like, it's not really something.
You're not sure. Okay, if you're giving your wife a missionary fucking, are you fornicating?
If you're having sex with your wife, so again, this goes back to marriage. I don't know why you're making this so hard.
I'm not. You are.
No, I'm not. I've given multiple answers, man.
I couldn't give a fuck less.
To this question? Okay, what's the answer to that?
But I am purely entertained by the Christian on Christian crime, the flailing, the gymnastics, and the hula hooping. The hula hooping the Christians do.
That question. If you're giving your wife a missionary fucking, are you fornicating? What's the answer to that question? We'll start there.
If you'd like to know how an affiliate marketer can go from only small to regular payments like $102 or $60.
If you're defining fornicating by having sex outside of marriage, then yeah. But if you're asking having sex outside of marriage,
no, it would be no. A sin. The question was, when you're fucking your wife, missionary, are you fornicating? And then you just said, if you're defining fornication of outside of marriage, then
you're
yeah.
Right. I misspoke. No, yeah, you're right. I misspoke.
Okay, so you reject this definition, though, right? And I thought I said by your definition.
If you define it as saying, okay, fornication is having sex outside of a legal bond of marriage. If that is how you're defining that, then my answer would be no, right?
Yeah, but you have some other definition, right? You have some other definition, right?
Are you? You're asking me from a biblical perspective? Then yes, absolutely.
Okay, what's your definition of fornication?
Fornication is a lot of different things. There's the Greek word porneia. Porneia having to do with fornication more so has to do with.
All right, so you know what we do here, Tank Gang.
What a rush!
We go to the Go Ogles. Got the word there for a minute. Let's see here. Fornication. Sexual intercourse between between people not married to each other. Again, Reverend, the dictionary definition of fornication. Sexual intercourse between people not married to each other. Who would have fucking thunk it?
Like sexual idolatry. It's not necessarily just
what
sex
up,
out of
Beck?
marriage. There's a huge debate among scholars having to do with this subject.
All right, you're just telling me that a lot of different things can qualify as fornication, but they all have something in common.
But it doesn't.
Right?
Having sex outside of marriage is not one of the. It's only one of the things.
Okay, what is the thing they all have in common?
What are you people? On dope?
It's sexual in nature.
Sure, that can't be what fornication is, because two married people fucking is sexual in nature, and you said that they're not fornicating, so that can't be it.
Dude, why are you making this hard?
You are the one making it hard, dude.
I'm not.
Just tell me why two people fucking that are married is not fornication, and why two people fucking that aren't married is fornication. That's all you got to say.
So my question is, for all of us former believers.
Bro, you're a reverend?
Yeah, this non-committal
You're a pastor.
stuff,
you're a pastor, dude?
So weird, this non-committal stuff about this issue.
You're a fucking pastor? You can't answer these fucking questions? Are you fucking kidding me? What a fucking joke.
I can answer. I'm just not interested.
You should fucking turn that U-Haul around and go straight fucking back, because the last thing you need to do is fucking be in a pastor position again if you can't answer this question.
I'm just not interested, man. You're getting aggravated. and I'm not interested to get into a fight right now. 2, I've given an answer
I'll fight your
times
mom.
that I think it's a nuanced topic, and that I think there's multiple definitions to fornication from a spiritual, from a pastoral perspective.
Again, it's not, you're just making shit up. I did a quick little Google, and we read the definition. Now, if you want to do all this bullshit, you can do all this bullshit, but it's dishonest. And I don't think you're making anything hard, John. If you know what I mean. But what I was going to say is for all the former believers here, if we were to go to our former pastors, we put our little Christian hats back on, and we'd ask our pastors, is it okay for us to be fucking if we ain't married? I think we know the resounding answer. Right?
Woo! This is why you didn't answer my question, because you have no idea what the heck you're talking about. You're trying to impose this idea of popular Christianity on sex having to do with sex outside of marriage or sex with.
What the fuck is proper or popular Christian? Is it Christianity or is it not? I didn't know there was a popular and unpopular jock Christianity, nerd Christianity. I thought, see, you're just further muddying the waters.
Inside of marriage. And I agree, it's definitely a majority position within the evangelical communities, the position that you're trying to press right now. My point is I am not within that circle that I'm holding to some majority view of the populace of Christianity. The idea is that the topic, and I will say it one final time, you will listen or you will not. The topic,
I think John's a swinger,
is nuanced. Because first, we have to ask about what is marriage. Is marriage qualified by vows in front of an altar in front of God? Is marriage... No, listen. Is marriage qualified in front of an altar? Is it based off of vows? Is it based off of having a reception, cutting a cake? What is marriage biblically? Can you answer me that?
Johnny.
Because we're talking about fornication and we're talking about this contrast between married and not married. What is marriage biblically?
It's whatever it's whatever the laws of that society say marriage is.
Yeah, so that is going to be a law of the land that's going to be a legal issue. And I already agreed to the legal issue. I said, if we're talking legally, if we're talking about the law of the land, fornication is sex outside of marriage because marriage is considered.
Biblically, marriage is what the law of the land says it is. So it's not just legally, it's actually biblically the case that John Lee ought to be legally married. Biblically, that's what it says. And I heard that from a Christian.
How do you know that's true?
Well, he quoted all sorts of stuff at me. I think from I'm sure confessions and stuff.
Like I've had this topic with pastors.
Look, but Toby, like, are you genuine telling me when you're pastoring your teenagers, if they have sex and they tell you they're never going to have sex with anyone else, you're going to be like, cool beans, you're married now, biblically?
Cool beans, you're married now, biblically. No,
why not? They're just doing what John and his wife are doing at the start of their relationship, right? Maybe they'll be together for 20 years.
I haven't made a single claim that they are married, that they aren't married. I asked the question, what is...
I love that this needs very little commentary. You can just listen to it and laugh.
We have to sit out here and wait a long periodically time.
Marriage biblically. What constitutes? You said it's based off the law.
Well, you said it's not You said it's not fornication, right? But then you also said that married people like fucking aren't fornicating. So yeah, you have made claims of that nature, and I think you're
specifically having to do with what? Finish the rest of my statement.
That was one of your statements. You might have made other statements. I don't know.
No.
You want to add on.
The statement that you're referring to, I said directly in reference to legality.
Yeah.
What's up, Finn?
Did we lose him? I mean,
it's unbelievable, dude. If any pastor.
So I think this is where
like let's say he were he gets there and like his all the other like pastors and the elders and the head of the church, they say, Triple B, welcome to our church. We just have one question before we officially sign you on. If two people are fucking outside.
There's just one more part that he talks in. We'll get to the Seth Andrews versus Reverend John Roastfest from a year or two ago. I think about 2 years ago.
Out of marriage, ought they get married? And Triple B is like, well, like legally, because it's like nuanced and like, dude, they would say, hey, thanks for making the trip. Go ahead and skedaddle and go home.
Well, did he actually give? But did he give his own definition of marriage if he's not saying legal?
I don't understand.
Did he have another definition?
I think he was using the Old Testament definition of becoming one flesh.
Yeah, but then that's worse. That means like Tinder hookups are getting married like all day, multiple times a day.
I fucking love Tobin. Oh my God. That means Tinder hookups are getting married every day, multiple times a day.
Bye, Felicia.
Well, here's the deal too. Here's the deal too.
All right, I'm back.
They can't say that the consummation is the marriage, because then that's a contradiction. You could never fuck to be married because you can't fuck unless you're married. And the only thing that supposedly makes you married is the fucking. What are you supposed to do?
I'm back. Can you hear me? Okay.
So the argument is trying to be made that what actually makes a marriage is the sex. And then you tell a person sex outside the marriage is fornication. So
I'm saying that that's only one side. I've said it's nuanced like 12 times. I've not made any direct claims saying this is marriage and this is exactly how it must be, and this is not marriage, and this is how it must be in relation to sex. I've not said anything.
So what is the criteria by which a person can no longer be a fornicator?
Oh my gosh. Is it okay? Let me ask the question. Is it okay to not have a strong stance on something that you're studying? Is that okay with y'all? I
don't know. It just seems.
Bro, you're a pastor, dude. You're not supposed to be like, oh, I need to like do more study on like whether or not this instance of fucking is fornicating.
You're right. I'm supposed to be a sheep. I'm not supposed to study the material in which I actually talk about, which I think is going to impact people's lives. Do
you have a general idea? Do you have like kind of like a loose idea of what it would mean for a person not to be a fornicator? No.
And this is why I'm going to show. Well, the Seth Anders is just for kicks and giggles, but we're going to go back 3 years and we're going to see how little of zero learning has taken place.
Producers, if you struggle finding sounds and samples that work for you, then you have to check out this plugin.
No, I don't have to.
Again, in points of study, let me just tell you
What
who I am.
What is happening right
man?
now?
You're literally a pastor on your way to take up a new pastoring position, and you don't know how John Lee could rectify like tomorrow his fornication problem. I got an idea. Fucking go get married.
I have no problem with marriage. I even said that. I said I think it would be a better thing for John to get married in terms of just legality. That was my answer regarding John.
Yeah, but we were. You were a pastor. We're asking you for spiritual instruction, not like legal.
Yeah, it's a point. And again, it's a point of study. If you were to ask me, hey, what's your stance on creation and evolution? You know what I'd say to you? I don't know. I'm
but this is,
and I don't really have a strong stance.
Yeah, but given
if you were to ask me anything about eschatology,
Rick, this one's from within the last week. The one we listened to now. The one with Seth Andrews was about 2 years ago, and then and that one's brief. It's just a roast fest. It's one of my favorite moments on our channel thus far. And the last one's from 3 years ago.
My exact answer would come out. So let me, maybe this will help. I honestly don't know. Maybe this will help. So about a couple years ago,
thanks for hanging out,
when I encountered David Smalley, you all know that whole thing, conversations, that put me into a crisis of faith where I realized I did not know why I believed what I believed. I didn't have a clue. And so I determined that I'm done, like the position I held about sex prior to that conversation disappeared after that first debate. Because I said, I'm done being uninformed and I'm done believing things just because it's what I've been raised with or what I've been taught. And so all of these questions having to do with sex right now, it's a point of study for me, and I have no hard stances. That's not to say that I don't find something biblically and I don't study something that leads me to a conclusion to have a hard stance on it. But
I just don't understand that. You're a pastor. I thought the Bible was pretty clear on this whole purity shit. Like, how do you not find that? Like, this should be one of the easier ones for you. I think you're making it hard, John. That's what she said.
In a point of study, it is far more honest just to say, you know what? I don't know. It's really nuanced for me right now. Instead, you guys just want to fight with me and press me and get me to an answer that you think I should give, and I'm not going to.
Well, you've already basically given the answer, right?
No, I
This is what I don't get. You're saying that John, when he climbs on top of his wife and pounds her missionary, he's fornicating, right? You've also said that the same. You've also said that the same act, if married, is not fornicating. And so when we ask the question, Triple B, how can John solve his fornication problem? And you're like, I don't know. I have to study. No, you don't. You got the answer right there. You said it yourself. Get fucking married. You're a fucking pastor, for Christ's sake, man. You don't need to like hit the books to like figure this fucking out.
Did I or did I not?
You got knocked the fuck out, man!
Not reference legality in the statement you
But
just
we're
made.
not asking you in that context, right? You're not a lawyer.
That's the answer I gave.
We're
The
asking
answer
you
that
for
he's talking
spiritual instruction, which is
And
your
I've
job as a
answered
pastor.
you times.
No, you didn't.
I don't have a
You
stance
said you don't know.
spiritually.
Oh dear. Look, maybe we should stop this because we don't want to like give him another crisis of faith before he even starts.
No,
his
you guys
job.
are just being dumb.
No, well, look.
Oh, we're being dumb, dude.
No.
Let me tell you, dude. If your fucking new employer heard what you were fucking saying, and you telling me we're being dumb, guess what? There's probably one person he thinks is being dumb in this fucking situation, right?
Yeah,
and
that's fine.
It's you.
Prepare to be astonished.
That's fine.
Dude, I hope some young person doesn't come up to you and say, "Hey, I need your help, Triple B, Mr. Youth Pastor. My uncle's molesting me," and then you say, "You know what?
You know what?
This is nuanced."
That's sick, and you can shut up. I'm gonna say that once.
Well,
Okay.
that one you know, right? Oh, that one you know.
Look,
That one didn't take further study.
Him. He's just come back. It's his first day. Come on.
You're fired.
But I just want to know, what if it's a lesbian couple?
The uncle and the niece became one flesh, according to you, right?
We're done. We're done.
Tom's dead.
They became one flesh, according to you, right?
It's over. Welcome back. Welcome back, Triple B.
You suck.
God, I love Tom.
I mean, I wouldn't mind if
It's
he was
nuanced.
Goosey Lucy just in general, like a Zellini or what have you, right? But you know he's gonna like condemn the gays, right? Just not the straight people living in sin, fornicating, doing whatever. That's just ugh.
All right, finish him. We're done with that one. Let's get to the fun shit. That was the dumb shit. Now let's get to the fun shit. And then we'll get to more dumb shit. Let's see. Share the screen. Oh man, can I not go? Damn it, Bobby. Why can't I? All right, I think I got it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, the Atheist Network Group presents Headshot.
Like a character or something?
No, he's a real pastor.
He's a youth pastor.
He just loiters around on this freaking, like, just to see what the atheists are doing. I'm trying to understand. Like, did God send Pastor John? Jesus himself could manifest right here. He could show up sort of like that scene in Terminator. There's an orb of white light and there's lightning all around it. And Jesus himself could show up. He doesn't even have to be naked like he was in the Terminator movies. But Jesus could come to this stream and he could communicate that he's real and here's what he wants and that he's coming again soon and we all need to repent. But instead, no, he sends Pastor John, the youth pastor, to loiter in the comment section. I do not understand. I'm not trying to be a dick here, but hang on just a second, okay? Is this not theological masturbation? Or is he like a character or something?
No, he's a real pastor.
He's a youth pastor. I made sure. I remember that like it was yesterday. I made sure to specify he's a youth pastor. All right, there's one more part to that. Oh God, it's gold. All right, let's get rid of you. next on deck. All right, here's the other part. It was a little bit longer, but Jenna did a great job of capturing the meat of it. That's what she said.
But hang on just a second, okay? What you are doing is you are saying God has not properly explained himself. So I have to go into a comment section to explain God to everybody else. Is this not simply a way for you, I'm not saying it is, I'm asking it in the form of a question, to feel morally and theologically superior? Then you can go back to your little religious lair, pat yourself on the back and say, I did God God's work, and I told those evil atheists how it is. I want to know what benevolent, omniscient, omnipotent God would decide he needed you to defend him in the comment section. I have a question about that.
Oh God, those are still my favorite moments so far. April will be our 3 years as a channel, I believe. That's still one of my. If it's not my favorite moment, it's right there. But I'm pretty sure that's my favorite. God, that shit. I could barely contain myself live. Like I was struggling to keep my shit together. I really was. Because what I loved about it was, first Seth was like, he was railing on him. He was going in. And then what's not on there is I kind of gave him the, oh, no, we know John, kind of gave him the, the look or the nod, like, oh, no, dig in. Dig in. And that's when Seth was like, all right, hold on. And then he just elbow drop off the top rope.
Know your role and shut your mouth.
Essentially. Cray, let me. Hey, babe, what's the Nightbot command for the shorts? It's just 10 gang shorts, right? Oh, it's Tang Shorts. Sorry, I was looking right at it and didn't even realize it. It's under Tang Shorts. Great. Anybody else that wants to see that? Yeah, that shit was fucking hilarious. All right. Drink your music, please.
What a rush.
All right, now this next one, I want to make sure I'm perfectly clear when I play this. I'm going back 3 years. This is the purposes, separate channel. Great. And yeah, Jenna just put the link. Thank you, beautiful. I want to make sure for all intentions and purposes, I'm using this clip to again show the flailing and the gymnastics of the Reverend, because I've already said it, and I'll just state it again here before I play it. I am not a fan, nor and I'll be crystal clear. I am no longer a fan of, or a supporter, advocate, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Not even a subscriber anymore to Pine Creek. So do not take this as an endorsement. Do not take this as a backing. Every intent and every purpose is to display the lack of growth in understanding and what's that book say? Above all else, gain knowledge, or above all else, gain understanding, something like that in Proverbs. It's been a day or two, since I really dug in, but that's the purpose in showing this. So I want to be perfectly clear before I put this up on the screen, the purpose in me showing this. But the only thing currently that I'll give Doug any room for on this is he does do a great job of essentially putting SE, street epistemology, to work, and he did do a great job in that. But above all that, I just want to make sure I'm clear here before I hit play. And I do appreciate the way it was titled. Awkward Pauses with Christian Youth Pastor John. Oh, man. All right. And I do have this sped up to 1.5, so they're going to sound like crackhead chipmunks.
What a rush!
So the first thing that pops in your head, why are you a Christian? Just give me a short one-sentence answer.
Why I'm a Christian?
Just one reason, not like the whole thing. Just give me a reason.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a good one right now.
Listen, I'm Pentecostal. We can talk forever, okay? So probably the main reason is because of, I would just say the overwhelming love of Jesus. This overwhelming love that I feel in terms of God's presence.
Okay, that's good.
It's something tangible to me.
Okay, give me a different reason.
No longer a fan, but
okay. Experiences that I've had in my own life. I had an experience when I was
Well, I don't want to hear it yet. We'll get there. So
okay.
So
experiences.
How's your second reason different from your first?
How's my second reason? Because they deal with completely two opposite spectrums spiritually. One has to deal with heaven, and one has to deal with hell.
Which one deals with heaven? The love of Jesus, I guess.
Yeah. Ooh.
But see, already, how are those two different spectrums? Heaven and hell. There's both. We're talking about the afterlife, right? If you're a good little Johnny boy, you go to heavens. If you're a bad little Johnny boy, you go to hell's. Same spectrum, motherfucker.
Quick intellectual jab there.
And the experiences that you've had here on Earth was more the hell one?
No, here on Earth, both. I mean, the love of Jesus I consider very personal to me here on Earth in terms of, like I said, getting into his presence. And the other one that we can get into a little later deals with actually what you were talking about a little earlier in the stream, having to do with demons. So.
Okay. So the reason why I ask is, so far I'm only hearing one reason why you believe in Christianity, because when you say love of Jesus and you said you feel his presence and so forth, that's an experience. And then I asked for a second reason and you said your experiences. So should we just lump that as just one reason because it's all under experiences?
Well, the love of Jesus I wouldn't call an experience. I would call a lifestyle, honestly. An experience, I think it can be categorized into one event that happened in my life.
The question is, why are you choosing that lifestyle? So why are you a Christian? Why are you a follower of Christ? I have experiences. Give me another reason. Like, I can help you out here. You mentioned Tyra before. Is prophecy a reason?
Well, I think prophecy is a very valid reason, because if any book, any human had the ability to tell the future, that's something that goes beyond, far beyond anything natural.
Let's think about, let's just try to get like 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 more. Is there another reason? We got personal experiences, we got prophecy, anything else of why you're a Christian?
I believe the Bible is, actually, this is where some of the Christians in the chat are going to be like, what did he say? I believe the Bible is inerrant in its foundational form. I believe that the text that we actually have today, regardless of what people think in terms of King James or in terms of different versions, that I don't think anything we have today is comparable to the original text.
How the fuck do you know that? How the fuck do you know that? How do you know that? I want to know that before we go anywhere else. And who made or declared you to be the authority? You know what I mean? Like what? We skipped the introduction. He says, "I'm not a historian. I'm not a theologian. I'm not a scholar. I'm not a. But now Now you have the knowledges.
You told some of the biggest lies that I've ever heard of in my whole life. Ever heard of in my whole life. Look that man right in the eye, face to face.
Yeah,
that was good.
Okay, so we got experiences, prophecy, inerrant texts. Can you think of anything else that might be a reason why you believe?
Would you lump healing under experience, or would you lump that under a different category?
Since we're kind of struggling for, well, let's put it as a new one, healings. I like that one. We got 4 now. Let's stick with 4. Okay, so now let's take the last one first, healings. If every healing that you ever saw, either to yourself, with yourself.
It's funny when I hear SE now, and having, by no means am I a master at it, let me be clear, but now having done it, not just online, but doing it, going downtown Fort Wayne, doing it live. What I find myself doing now when I hear these questions is answering as if I was a Christian still. And, when I was I've over the last 3 years, this is probably like the 4th or 5th time I've watched this video because I think it's fucking hilarious. But, I could have spat off, 4 reasons, much quicker than that, especially at the height of my poisoning or indoctrination or walk of faith.
Self or other people, if let's say half of them were faked, that fake's a strong word, but wasn't from God, wasn't from the devil either. It was just people, thinking things in their own head. Would you leave Christianity? Would your confidence in Christianity drop to the point where you say, "No, what? I'm not a Christian anymore. This is all bunk." Probably. If half of the okay, what about if 90% of the healings that you saw, you became?
Yep, what Pat said.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
Convinced this is just psychosomatic, it's emotional drivel, it didn't actually come from God. Would you leave Christianity if 90%? No. Okay, so let's go to the next one.
Okay.
Inerrant text. Let's say you became convinced next year that...
I actually don't have a notepad. Is it okay if I grab one really quick so I can write?
Sure.
I'll take you with me.
Oh, Reed, welcome. He's in the live stream chat. I'm trying to do strict SE here, Reed, but in a little different, my own spin.
I took your mom with me.
Of course. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, I'm just gonna. Am I staticky right now? I move my mic. Sometimes it happens like that. This is actually okay. So I'm in the process of moving right now, and I don't know where a lot of stuff is. So just for the sake of your viewers and for the sake of time, I will just try and remember and suffer through. I'm already in the lion's den. Can't get much worse.
Okay, so we talked about healings as a reason. I'm going backwards here. Inerrant texts you mentioned. If you became convinced that some of the texts, the copies that we have, are if you became convinced that there were contradictions that could not be harmonized to your satisfaction, would you cut your confidence in Christianity go down?
Like I said, foundationally, no. There I don't think there are contradictions that cannot be rationalized.
Okay,
so I guess in a pretend world from that perspective, if the Bible could be
in a pretend world where a God exists far, far away, and the only roadmap that you have for this life is this comic book that was breathed by God.
Not only are you a hot dog, a grandstander, a showboat, and a prima donna, but you're a liar too.
Be proven wrong, factually, historically, whatever, then from that point of view, yes, you would have to. A Christian from that standpoint.
Not necessarily. So let's say it says in the Bible that I can't think of a good example at the top of my head. It's getting late, but let's say the Bible says a certain place was east of another place, but it was actually west. So it was
okay. So no, nothing, not indiscrepancies like that.
Okay.
There is nothing that the Bible teaches or affirms foundationally incorrect. To you might have differences, like I said, in the text we have today and the translations we have. You're going to find discrepancies here and there of little things like that. But
Let's go a little bit deeper with this inerrant text reason. Let's say you became convinced this time next year, that some of the things Jesus is reported to have said in the Gospel of John, you became convinced, no, Jesus never said that at all. Whether you're right or wrong, you just became convinced that no, Jesus never said those things. And would your confidence in Christianity lower to the amount where you would give up Christianity if you became convinced that Jesus didn't say some of the things in the Gospel of John?
You're going to have to clarify that, because we're kind of doing this from a presuppositional standpoint. It is me presupposing the ideas that you're presenting, but
in other words,
it's all what ifs.
Yes, it's all. We're trying to figure out what's the primary reason for why you're a Christian, and so all these questions are going to be what if questions. So, what if you became convinced that some of the things that Jesus is reported to have said and done actually didn't happen? Would your confidence in Christianity lower? And if so, would it lower enough for you to leave Christianity?
I couldn't be. This is such a hard conversation for me, because it's from the standpoint of basically what would make me become an atheist. Because if I was or go into a different religion or so on or so forth. Because
it's like, you could say, for example, yeah, my confidence would lower, Doug, if that happened, but I'd still be a Christian because of a different reason. Or you could say, yes, Doug, my confidence would lower, and
see, I find that, based on his intro, which I did skip just for time purposes, but in the intro, he said, I'm not a theologian, not a historian, not a. One of them was also, I'm not an apologist. If you're none of those things, you're not here to defend the faith. Why can you not have this open dialogue? Why do you have to, which I find this ironic to even say, but why do you, the person that believes in this imaginary thing, feel like you have to go into a pretend world? We're trying to come to your pretend world and find out why you believe in pretend things. Why is this so difficult for you?
That would be enough for me to leave Christianity, because then I don't know what to trust. Or you could say, I don't think my confidence would lower at all, because we're not talking about the originals, Doug. We're talking about copies. And so if something was wrong, then it's wrong. So I just laid out 3 options for you. Do any of them resonate with you?
Again, it's more so in this idea of what if the Bible was ever proven 100% factually incorrect in what it teaches and what it affirms, I think the honest thing to do would be to leave Christianity. To be quite, if Jesus was disproven, I think the honest thing to do would be to do that. But it's never happened, and it's never going to. There are, I think, plenty of people that think it has been.
Oh, I love when the arrogance oozes. It's never been proven wrong, and it will never be proven wrong. Well, no shit. We can't prove, because you can't prove a negative. It's not here. It's not real. Thanks, Sherlock.
Do you understand me?
And believe it has been, but there's always a rationalization for every argument.
We'll get into deeper. I'm just trying to figure out what's the main reason for you. What about prophecy? Let's say you became convinced. I don't know. There's 300 messianic prophecies or so forth. Let's say you became convinced a year from now that the prophecy of Tyre actually is a bad prophecy. Would that lower your confidence enough to leave Christianity, do you think?
No, because it's not foundational to it's not foundational to the message. It's not foundational to.
Got it.
The Bible from Genesis to Revelation is Jesus centered.
What about if you gave me a list of your top 10 prophecies, and a year from now, all 10 of them you became convinced?
Right, cray, and I agree. I should be more, not be so general when I say that. So I appreciate that. So I will correct that statement. He said up top, and everyone did hear it. I'm a, what do you say, evangelical or apostolic or whatever it was. He said, we can talk all day. I had, past tense, plenty of conversations with John and those that affirm, for the most part, his view of Christianity and the Bible. Yes, they believe that Jesus was born of a virgin, fucking disappeared for how many years, then shows back up on the scene, dies. After 3 days, he's like, "What's up, motherfuckers? I'm back." and they believe all this shit with no evidence, but they want to pretend that they're pretending that they have to pretend.
Oh, yeah.
They're not good prophecies. They're probably not prophecies at all. Would you leave Christianity?
No.
Okay. So see how quickly you answered that compared to the inerrant text? That tells me that...
Well, I'm more so just kind of getting into the flow of where the conversation's going, not necessarily for any other specific reason.
Okay, what about your experiences? And let's not go specific. Let's just keep your experiences. Think. Don't say it out loud, but think in your mind the most powerful experience of God or Jesus you've ever had, or the most powerful experience of demons or whatever, supernatural you've ever had in your life. Let's say a year from today, you became convinced that none of that came from the supernatural realm, that it was other factors. And we don't have to say even guess what that might be at this point. But think of the most powerful experience you ever had of God, Jesus, demons. And if it were true that had nothing to do with the supernatural.
Oh, back when John had convinced, I think, a large part of the atheist community that he was a good one, as my grandpa would have said. He was a good one. I wish I would have had the relationship, the friendship that I have with Dr. Josh and Kip and Pat and others. I wish I would have had those relationships and friendships then that I do now. And just would have been able to just tackle this shit head on. But you know what they say. Same shit, different toilet.
What a rush!
Realm. Would you leave Christianity?
No, I would not.
Okay, that's interesting. So that tells me that I think the one that we should focus on is the inerrant texts.
Okay.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I'm good with whatever. Okay. I wish I had some of my notes in front of me, but it's okay.
So I'll let this part play, and then I'm gonna fast forward up to the end because it gets to the point where it does with any of your online apologists, because John, no matter what you say, you're a fucking apologist to the max. Where no matter what he's asked, it all just comes down to faith. It all just comes down to faith. And then he's asked some pretty pointed questions, some really fucked up situations, like, hypotheticals. If this were to happen, would you still worship this God? Yup. So we'll get there in a minute.
I'll do my best to keep up.
So what do you think is the most important part of the inerrant text that, if it were false, if we could figure out if it was false, that would lower your confidence the most?
If the Bible was proven wrong.
No, don't say Bibles. Get specific. What specifically in the Bible would you have to see?
In the Bible.
Yeah.
So the Bible talks about I believe it's Timothy, where it talks about the Bible being God-breathed, being inerrant, that every word is inspired, right? Having to do with the teachings in Scripture, like I said, not specific indiscrepancies, but having to do with what the Bible teaches and affirms is what would have to do it. Does that make sense?
Okay, but so give me an example of a certain teaching that's powerful to you.
Okay, so
which
such as, you could talk the book of Genesis. You could talk in the Garden of Eden. You can talk. Now, let me be very clear here. I am actively studying evolution and things of that nature right now. So that is not a conversation I could probably have.
We should probably keep this in the New Testament because we're talking Christianity right now. So, and I know Christianity uses the Old Testament, but what about Jesus? What teachings about Jesus would you have to see change in your mind in order for you to leave Christianity? Like, for example.
Okay, so Jesus specifically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, for example, let me throw some examples. You tell me if that would cause you to leave Christianity. If it were true Jesus never rose from the dead bodily, would you leave Christianity?
If it were true Jesus never rose from the dead.
Bodily, yeah.
It would be honest. It would be honest too. Yes.
You would leave Christianity at that point?
That's actually something that the New Testament states. If the resurrection is proven false, then our faith is nothing.
Okay.
Because, like I said, foundationally from Genesis to Revelation is all about Jesus.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, that's such a sleight of hand that the New Testament uses. Well, there's no way to, show that this thing is true, that this thing happened. But if it didn't, it'd be okay to walk away. Now, you're never going to be able to do that. but in a slim, slight little itty bitty chance that somehow it is disproven or proven to be incorrect, then and only then you're justified to walk away. Ay.
Perfect. So now, what would you have to see to figure out if that is indeed false? What would convince you that it would be false?
What would I have to see? I mean, it's an interesting question. See, I don't think that's an answerable question, though, to be honest with you, because it can't be proven on my side or your side apart specifically from faith, and then like the witness, and then witnesses that have seen him, and testimonies, and extra biblical resources.
Exactly.
We have to sit out here and wait a long periodically time.
You tell them, girl.
We have to sit out here and wait a long periodically time.
We have to sit out here and wait a long periodically time, and you still can't demonstrate shit. Still can't prove shit.
Let's strike proven, the word proven, off the record. We're not trying to prove something with 100% certainty. What I'm asking you is, what would you have to see, learn, hear, know to figure out that Jesus Christ didn't rise from the dead? That something you would see, learn, and figure out that would make you doubt enough that you would say, you know what? I don't know this with certainty, but I really, really doubt this ever happened in history. Can you think of anything you could see?
And Bingo was his name.
Learn.
You're asking me to put on your head, and I'm trying to think. Is there anything? So let's look at the resurrection just specifically. If
another quick shout out to Tom.
Sorry for the awkward pause.
This has been the Tom Rabbit show tonight, but another quick shout out to Tom Rabbit. He had a couple Christians just stumped. I'll have to try to find this video and link it if I can now. If not, I will on another stream. But he had created a room, and it was, can you make an argument for God, or can you attempt to prove God without circular reasoning or begging the question? Oh my God, it was hilarious to hear, because when you take those two fallacies and poor argumentations for this God hypotheses away, all they do is trip and fall all over themselves. Cray Tom Rabbit, his channel originally years ago was almost dedicated to exposing Darth Dawkins. Now that Darth is, widely been exposed to be the piece of fucking shit he is, you can find him either on Tom Rabbit, on he has his own YouTube channel, and then Chris will just put Atheist Clubhouse. Him and Dez from Clubhouse Debates have a kind of a joint venture going there, but they go into these rooms and they record, so that you and I don't have to sit and listen and wade through the murky shitholes. They do the dirty work for us. Yeah, check him out. Tom's a good dude. And John Hudson, I'm actually going to address that before I wrap up this stream. To be continued.
Chat.
We like awkward pauses here at Pine Creek.
Just trying to think of something.
All right, I'm going to try to get back towards the end here where he starts asking him the disgusting shit.
This mistake is costing Amazon Prime shoppers big. Are you still using Prime? Because at this
definitions of morals, and since he is the definition of good, if he would have created a world, and he would have chosen to create a world where it was better, for rather than a high five, it was better for me to stick a knife in your eye.
Did it?
Yeah, you should actually. That's where the fear of the Lord comes in. There, in terms of sending them into eternity. I think we don't get to talk to God. We don't get to tell. That would be the definition of good. And so, by our definition now of evil, And this is what I told him. Even if God were evil, even if God were completely malicious and evil, he would still be the definition of good. Because how we understand God created the universe, he created the universe, and it's a much better thing to love your brother.
Oh no, John, no need for apologies. I just I was just going to address that at the end, because for those that have a history here at the channel, going back to the Atheist Roundtable days, Justin, Wes, myself, and others had close working relationship here on YouTube. So I just found out the news, was it earlier this morning, afternoon, whatever it was. So I was going to address it, and yeah, he deserves everything that's coming to him.
Than to kill your brother. We understand that concept. It's much better to do that. It's much better for me to give you a high five than put a knife in your eye. It's understandably morally better. But God gave us the very definitions of morals. And since he is the definition of good, if he would have created a world, and he would have chosen to create a world where it was better, for rather than a high five, it was better for me to stick a knife in your eye, that would be the definition of good. And so by our definition now of evil, let's look at it from an even weirder perspective. Let's say, and I don't believe this, in the multiverse theory, right, that there are multiple worlds and multiple lives and yada, 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 like Flash existence on CW. Let's say there is a world where God has formed us and he called it good, and everything here that we know is good and know is moral is right. And let's say that he created another world somewhere else where it's actually completely opposite to what we see as moral in this world. He's still the definition of good for both worlds. We don't get to talk to God. We don't get to tell God, you shouldn't have done that.
Sorry, Rick, he wasn't clear because he kind of stumbled and then looped back around to regather his thought and start over. So I forget where he's going with this.
Name the worst evil thing you can think of.
Worst evil thing
that can happen to a person.
Ooh, there's a lot of evil things that can happen to people. That's hard to narrow down. The most evil thing, I guess,
just name one evil thing.
Would be murder. I mean, taking the life of another in terms of sending them into eternity. I think would be the most evil thing for a man to do.
Okay, let's imagine God. Let's make it even worse. The God you worship, actively killing someone slowly, starting from the toes all the way up, cutting them up slowly. They eventually die and bleed out to death. You're saying you would still worship that God if that God actually did it?
Yeah, you should actually. That's where the fear of the Lord comes in. And the Bible.
You're disgusting, John.
Why are you fearing the Lord though?
You should fear him.
What are you scared that he's going to hurt you?
Well, it's a reverence. It's a love. It's the understanding of his love, but also understanding the reverence you need to have for him. I mean, there's plenty of biblical examples where God just.
Sorry, John, and the other Christians that subscribe to this. That is not kindness. That is not love. That is not grace. That is not peace. That is not mercy. That is not understanding. That is not any of the Beatitudes. That is a fucked up tyrant. That is an abuser, John. So as you're trying to flex and act like these are great qualities of this God motherfucker, the rest of us that don't live in this fantasy land understand that that is abuse. Those are the behaviors, the demands, the expectations of those that abuse and take advantage and manipulate and gaslight. And I'm sorry you live in the fantasy land. I think if John could pull his head out of Jehovah's ass, I think John could be a cool guy. But John so firmly has his head implanted in Jehovah's ass that he's always going to be this kind of human.
Annihilated people.
Why do you need to worship this God?
Why do I need to worship that God?
Or would you even say you need to?
No, I would say you need to and you should.
But why? Why do you need to?
Because it doesn't change who God is. It doesn't change that he is God.
I understand that.
Now, I can take you to a hypothetical place. If God is real and if God exists, even if he did horrible, even if there were horrible things done, if your choices were heaven, you really wouldn't.
No. Why should I?
So you would choose. So in terms of hell, in terms of.
So you're saying I should worship him because he can hurt me back? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
No, I'm fine with saying that, and the Bible even says that.
Okay.
It says, "Do not fear the one who can come against your mortal body, but fear the one who can send your soul into an eternal fire."
So is it fair for me to say that the reason you believe in
Right, 100%, 100%. And Biddy and I in the past had this conversation that if it wasn't for these ancient texts, like the Bible and the Quran, and the ones that are very, very evil in their dogmatic approach and their judgment of things that they're afraid of, people that they're afraid of, situations that they're afraid of. If it wasn't for these bad ideas and bad beliefs, it wouldn't even be a thing. That's what's sad. Like the hate, the abuse of the LGBTQ plus community especially here in America, by the Church of America. And the only reason I say that is because it's all I know. It's where I'm from. And I'm sure it's similar in other places, but you take thousands of years of this shit being taught, and then people being indoctrinated, and then there's this translation. I translate it this way, and I interpret it this way, and then it just becomes more and more hateful, more and more abusive. I really do wonder if it wasn't for that, if our friends, our family that are part of the LGBTQ plus community would have never had to endure and suffer and truly be persecuted Christians, not the fake shit that you talk about. Would they have had to endure all the bullshit if it wasn't for your quote-unquote God, your book, and the bad ideas that have been contrived and used as a weapon against people that you don't understand, and because you don't understand, you're afraid of it, and because you're afraid of it, instead of responding, you react, and you react based on the bullshit and the bad ideas that you've been taught. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk.
in Christianity is because if you don't, this God's going to hurt you.
No. And we've actually already mentioned that. You even said it yourself. You said that it sounds to you like my love for heaven is greater than my fear for hell.
Right, that's what I thought.
You were absolutely right in that statement. My love for heaven is greater than my fear for hell, because I can still fear hell, but I can still love heaven. It doesn't have to be one or the other. You can fear something and love something else.
And pay attention to what John's getting ready to be asked, and the answer and the follow-up to it, I think, are very intriguing. And I wonder how many Christians would answer and then reflect the way John does.
You can fear if Jeffrey Dahmer walked into your house, but you could still love your wife. It doesn't change anything. I'm allowed to fear hell. I'm allowed to fear a just God. I'm allowed to fear a righteous God. But that doesn't mean I don't have to fear him because of love. I don't have a reason.
Right, great. And again, I appreciate you pointing that out. And when I say ancient texts, obviously, not obviously, hopefully you guys understand that in this context, I'm talking about primarily the Abrahamic, the poisonous, toxic bullshit.
You don't have to answer this, but did you almost die in your life, like physically?
Yes, twice.
No, stop.
Yeah.
Can you figure out why I asked that question?
Can I figure out why I asked the question?
Why do you think I asked that question right now?
Why do I think you asked me the question, have I almost died?
Where did you think that question
because
came
we're
from?
talking about eternity, I would say. We're talking about heaven and hell.
I sensed in you, and of course I'm a fallible human being, I could be wrong, but when you started adamantly talking about heaven and hell like you were, in my brain I was thinking, this guy has almost died, and his fear and death is strong in this one. That's why I asked the question. And I was not surprised at your answer.
Yeah.
And
well, when I almost died, though, it's not something I avidly remember. It's not something that made a.
So I fast forwarded too far. I'm not going to go searching back for it because I don't have timestamps. But excuse me, John was asked, John, if we are both going to, no, if we both died at the same time, and there is such a thing as the pearly gates, and there is this Lamb's Book of Life, and blah 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 blah. If God looked at you and said, John, well done, my good and faithful servant. But then he looked at the other person and said, you done fucked up, Aaron. You're going to hell. John, would you do what the Bible says and essentially lay down your life for me? Would you say, no, I don't want this person to have to suffer eternal damnation and torment, burning, gnashing of teeth? Would you do that for me? And John, without flinching, was like, nope, sure wouldn't. And then the highlight was made by the interviewer, which I found interesting. So what we're hearing is you have a greater love of this eternal bliss in heaven than you do a fear of hell. And that's and I'm still processing it because it was the first time that part of the conversation stuck out to me. But I'm going to do some more thinking on that. And I think there's something there. I don't know what it is yet, but I think there's something there. If you pick up what I'm throwing down. And that's me thinking out loud. But I thought it was a great question. And his response to it made me think, okay, obviously there's different motivations. Where are those contrived from? What did or didn't happen to said person that would? Because I know some Christians that would say, yes, I would lay down my life. I would lay down that security if it meant this person, whomever it was, did not have to suffer. I would suffer for them. Because that's what Jesus did. You know, and I mean, they wear the fucking bracelet. What would Jesus do? Well, Jesus sacrificed everything, right? Bullshit, but you should do what Jesus did.
Masterful impression on me. It was my mom went through the windshield twice, like ejected out of the car twice.
In two separate occasions.
2 separate occasions. Both times the cars were totaled. Both times I left without a scratch. These are 2 times that, to my parents, the paramedics, the firemen said he doesn't have a scratch, but he actually should be dead. We don't know why he doesn't have a scratch.
So why do you think God loves you more than your mom?
I'm sorry?
Why do you think God loves you more than your mom?
I didn't say that. I never said, based on personal experience, that God loves someone more. Just life is what he chooses to do.
Why do you think
God
wanted to hurt your mother and not you?
It's not God. It's not God's doing.
It wasn't? Didn't you just say he protected you? Weren't you going there?
Yeah. I can say he protected me.
But did he protect your mother?
That's because in that situation I came out without a scratch. In terms of my mother, that doesn't automatically default that because he protected me that he caused the situation.
But he did not protect your mother, did he?
No, he did not.
Why? Do you think?
I have no idea. I've thought about that over the years. I've thought about maybe my mother did not die. and this is where we can actually kind of enter into a really interesting conversation, because those two accidents caused my life to become a hell on earth. Those two accidents caused my mom to go mentally insane. And to be honest, and this is what I would actually attribute it to without giving you a long answer. The reason I'm a youth pastor is because my mom was ejected out of a car. Mm-hmm. It completely correlates.
All right, this one, again, everything becomes circular. Excuse me, back to faith and more faith. And I fast forwarded too far, but give you a couple of ideas of what John was asked, and he said, yes, I would still serve him. Now, for those that don't know, I am a father of 4. I can't say little ones anymore. I have a son that's a grown-ass adult, but I have 4 children. I'll call it, even though my teenage daughter would hate to hear me say it, I got 3 little ones. I'm telling you right now, no one will ever get a pass on harming one of my kids. I have a couple stories that I could share, but for time purposes, I won't. If y'all want to ask me about it later, I will. But I am that protective father. Growing up in an abusive home, typically what happens is, a person either continues the cycle or they break the cycle, and they trend to the other side, which is more the defender, or just flat out the defender. That is me. And John was asked 2, I think there was a third, but 2 I know for sure. John, if God were to do something to hurt and or harm your child, would you still worship said God? John, without flinching, yeah, I would. And then I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember exactly how the question was asked, but it was, if God were to do something or allow something that would take the life of your child, and God, is it God's hands, whether it was allowing or, what was the causation of said event, would you still worship that God? Again, without flinching, yes. And there was a third, and it was, again, I'm paraphrasing, but the example that was drawn was essentially the Abraham and Isaac example, which, if you're familiar with me, that's one of my favorite conversations to have with Christians, especially those that are parents. Would you do that? Again, without flinching, yeah, sign me up. I guess us atheists are better parents. Because I can tell you right now, there's not a goddamn motherfucking chance that anyone's going to lay a fucking finger on my children, or even verbally, emotionally, psychologically try to abuse them, take advantage of them, and the pit bull part of Oz doesn't come straight the fuck out. And like I've said to the Christians in my conversations about Abraham and Isaac, if I did still believe in this God, and he were to ask me, Oz, please take pick one, take one of your 4 kids, take them up to this mountaintop, and kill them to show your love and your loyalty to me. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. No. Nope. Ain't happening. Not today. Not as long as I'm on the clock. Now, once Dad's gone, I can't control nothing. But as long as Dad's here, not today, Junior. And that's what, Jen and I have talked about it. Dr. Josh and I have talked about it. I don't know how many times and I know you in the chat have, either thought about it or had the very, very, very similar conversations with others now that are ex-Christians. It's unfortunate what we have to do to our mind, what we have to do with our brain to justify those things. Now, I can say very proudly that in hindsight, that particular Bible story always bothered me, even as a Christian. How could you ask this man to murder his son? And then not to go off on the whole tangent, but then to say, psych, just kidding. I just wanted to see how serious you were. I just wanted to see how much you actually love me. Don't worry about it, Abraham. I got a little ram that's getting ready to come through the thicket and the thorns, and you kill that instead. That's a fucked up God, man. And any way that you try to sugarcoat, fluff it up, or even more disgustingly, that it's a prophecy of Christ to come, I would just say, Abraham, if he was even real, you're a bitch. You're a bitch. Because anybody telling me to harm my kids or wanting to harm my kids, we got problems, bruh. We got problems. And last but not least, speaking of kids and problems, yeah, I'll keep this brief. I just with prior that wasn't supposed to pop up yet. Hold on, I'm trying to share my screen. Prior involvement, prior friendship, relationship. I'm gonna hit this topic one time here live, and then we can clip this out later if we need to, so that my position or what I think everybody knows where I'm at, but so I'm crystal clear, and I'm actually going to be part of a documentary on this topic that we started working on probably about a year ago, and then had to hit the pause button to wait for the legalities and the legal system and all that to, run its course, and for evidence and, the judicial process to do what it does. But I was a part of it, will continue to be a part of it, because fuck this shit. And for those that don't know, maybe you're not even aware of the situation, I'll give a little background. But it's important we talk about these things and we expose them. And then, other than the documentary, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it because I don't want to. For the family that's involved, I don't want to continue to, to tear off scabs and reopen wounds and things like that. So it'll be few and far between, other than this and the documentary, like I said, that I'm helping with. It'll be few and far between that I talk about it. But anyway, so when we started our channel, as I mentioned up top, April, I want to say it's like first week of April, something like that, will be our 3rd year anniversary for the channel. Right around that same time, there was another atheist channel that was created. I think it was within a month of each other. I think they were a month before us, maybe 2 months. Anyway, and the two people that started was Justin Downing and all of us know him as Producer Wes. We had met via what was the name of it? Babe, what was the name of it? The Daily Atheist, the Morning Atheist. Do you remember? Babe? What was Chris's channel? The Daily Atheist? Is that what it's called? Yeah, so I had met them via the Daily. That's not around anymore, but via the Daily Atheist. And at the time, both of us had similar approach as far as, more conversations, SE, Socratic method type approach to our content, our channel, that kind of thing. And we had a great working relationship, and hindsight's always 20/20. But I remember late nights being up with talking to Justin and now his estranged wife, and I'm not going to name names or anything, and talking about mental illness and mental health, and even relationship, marriage type shit, and trying to be a friend, trying to be a support system, for the two of them. And there again, hindsight's 20/20. Now, when I rewind and look back to some of the things that were mentioned now, maybe, and again, I'm not an expert in the field, but maybe if I were, maybe some of the things that were brought up, and I'll never share it because I'm not that person, but some of the things, maybe if I was a professional educated in the field, would have maybe rose a red flag or two for me to ask different questions. But I am not that, and I was just trying to be a friend, at that point. And I would say after, about a year and a half or so of us working pretty damn closely together as far as the two channels, and doing a lot of, well, as I coined it, cross-pollination, and trying to help each other grow and help each other get better. There was this, yes, I fucking love Wes. Wes is my homie. There's this group of Muslims that came prancing along, and the likes of Jake the Snake, Jake the meta position. I don't remember his fucking name, but Jake and I can't remember the other guys' names now. Abdul, I think, is one of them. Raheem, I think, was one of them. But they come along, and at that time, Justin had created a like a Facebook chat page that anyone and everybody can come in there and talk about, skepticism, atheism, Christianity, Islam, yada yada yada. And in its beginning stages, phases, whatever, it was very, very. It was actually pretty badass because there was like an even. What do I want to say? There's nearly an even amount of kind of each position. The Muslims and the Christians and the agnostics, the atheists, the yada yada yada. Like it was cool because you got to hear all these different people from all these different places with all these different views, right? And there was a season of it that I do think was healthy. But then it became an echo chamber, and Jake the Snake, and the rest of his posse, as I call them, they were great at taking advantage of Justin, and I think again, this is pre what we're getting ready to get into here in a second. I think this was kind of a kickoff to where we're at now, and then, like I said, I'll leave it alone. But all of a sudden, it turned into this echo chamber, where if it wasn't talking about the Kalam, and it wasn't leading us to the Quran and Muhammad and Allah, then why are you here? Why are you talking about it? Was essentially what it turned into. And many of us left. Like the group just dwindled. And I remember telling Justin very specifically early on, I said, Justin, just be careful, bro. Just be careful. These guys don't care about you. They don't fucking love you. They see you as one thing, a potential white American convert to Islam. That's it. That's it. They don't give a fuck about you. And that, call me prophetic in this regard, that's shown to be true, because once he converted, it was only a matter of months, if that, and you didn't, like there was no engagement, there was no nothing. They got what they wanted out of it. The reason I share all that is Islam, this is where Islam is very different from Christianity, that even though, yes, it still happens within Christianity, don't get that twisted. But there are the exceptions. There are the what do I want to say? The allowances of inappropriate relationships. And it starts with their own prophet, Muhammad. So if you take somebody that's already struggled with, and before I go any further, I'm not apologizing. I'm not an apologist for Justin, and I at this point will not refer to him as Khalil Allah. I will not do it. If anybody has issues with that, you can take me up on that offline. I'm just giving the background, the lead up, where we're at, and where I'm at now that it's all said and done. I think Justin had issues before Islam. Islam gave him an excuse. Islam gave him a pass to violate anything and everything that I could ever think of violating as a man, as a father, as a partner, as a friend. And I think, and again, this part is speculation. I think it gave someone that was already sick and already fucked up and already troubled a pass. That said, about a year, I can't remember the date. I was trying to find it here before I pulled it up. The original date as far as the filing and everything at this point, I think is irrelevant because we're now officially at the end. But I want to say it was about a year and a half ago. Out of nowhere, for us, that we, and Wes would say this too, for those of us that we thought we were close, we thought we were friends, like we, thought we were transparent, and all that. And it reminds me, I was telling Jenna, one of the hip hop artists that I listened to, he said, yeah, I know we're friends, but Jesus was homies with Judas. And I thought we were on that level, but that, again, that this is where your skepticism grows, and you improve in your skepticism and asking more effective questions, so on and so forth. But anyway, about a year and a half ago, I got a phone call, and Justin officially had warrants out for his arrest. And believe me, there's a lot more to the story. But again, I'm trying to keep it as brief as possible. This is, believe it or not, the condensed version. But was on the run for, I don't remember how long. Had a warrant out for his arrest. I think originally he had. Let's see, and I'm gonna pull the court papers up here in a second. Originally he had five or six. I think it was five charges, felony charges against him, all to do with sexual battery, sexual assault against a minor. And the minors being those that were, his dependents or that he was responsible for. Obviously, I'm floored. I'm fucking floored. 8/21/21. Yeah, great. Yep, thank you. Now I remember it, now that you posted that. I was fucking floored, like flabbergasted, like what the fuck is going on? Many conversations later, I'm like, God damn, this does not look good, man. This does not look good. And the more and more I'm learning about the evidence, this isn't going to be good. This is not going to be good. And then once I learned of the evidence that had actually been provided to the court, and, obviously offline, private, conversations within, amongst friends, I was like, no, I have to officially separate myself from this. And I did a stream specifically about Justin, our friendship, now former friendship, and addressed it. And, and said, going forward, what's it is it, bro. I can't fuck with people like you. I can't fuck with people like you. And Cray, I'll get to that your question here in a second. So let me screen share this real quick, and then I'll wrap it up because when the evidence stacks up, the only thing you can do is either bullshit your way through it, and I'm talking about the legal process. Bullshit your way through it, or you take a plea deal because you know you're fucked. So I'm not gonna read the whole thing because, as we all know, legal paperwork it's wordy as fuck. But here at the top, Justin Downing, and this was, where's the date? It was like a day ago, 2 days ago. February 23rd. So yeah, a day ago, not even that long. A day ago, 3:09 p.m. I withdraw my former not guilty plea and enter a plea of guilty to following offenses: felony 3 and felony 2, sexual battery. Count 1, no minimum. Count 5, 2 to 8 years. Maximum 60 months on charge 1. Charge 5, maximum 12 years. And then you can see over here under prison term is mandatory. Yes. So I talked to someone earlier today based on their understanding, my understanding from, having other buddies that have done prison, not for this shit, but like for drug charges, shit like that. Copping a plea deal like this, he's probably looking at like, depending on the judge, 5 to 8 years. To me, you fucking with kids like that, just throw them away for the rest of their life, for all I care. But yeah, I won't read it all. But the plea deal was he would admit guilt in the F2 and F3 sexual battery, and then the other 3 charges. They're on here somewhere, but the other 3 charges would be dropped. Oh, there it is. Dismiss counts 2, 3, and 4. Upon conviction, defendant will be required to register tier 3 sex offender, and then he will remain a sex offender for the rest of his life. So I share all that. One, because obviously we're going to expose the bullshit. And now, unfortunately, I have to say, I now have to say, unfortunately, had a friendship with, quote unquote, did business with, had ties with this motherfucker. So, like I said, drawing a line here tonight. If anybody has questions, they can go back to this. And then there's the documentary that'll be rolled out. Other than that, I doubt I'll talk about this very often, if ever. So the last thing I'll say is, Justin Downing, fuck you. You deserve everything coming to you. And I know I'd already washed my hands of it, but you're scum. You're scum. You are the most disgusting type of person, man, father that I know of that could walk this place we call Earth. And yeah, I hate feeling I'm wishing ill or harm or anything on anyone, but Justin, you have everything. Or I'm sorry, I hope you get everything coming to you. You're a disgusting human being. And then lastly, Cray, to answer your question, somehow, some way, until I think it's next month. month is the final court hearing for the actual sentencing, if I remember correct. Yeah, so the it's a month from now. April 3rd is sentencing. He's still out on bond until he's actually sentenced. So you'll probably see a lot of him until they cuff him and take him away. But yeah. So if anybody has any questions, you can hit me up offline. What I feel, comfortable with answering without putting the family, like I said, the family and the ones closest situation, in front of any more harm, or any more pain or whatever. I don't mind talking about it, but fuck him. And I like I said, I hate talking like that, but I hope he gets everything coming to him. He deserves it 100%. But thank you everybody for hanging out with me for this part, especially that last part. I know we went from having fun talking shit, about John, but with that coming out, I didn't say it up top because I didn't want to distract from the content, but I wanted to do it one time and then leave it alone. So I'm gonna get off here and hang out with the beautiful Jenna. Craig, you might be right. I'm not sure. That's what it's not my area of expertise, as Dr. Josh would say. But you're probably dead right, because there's a lot of youngsters on there. So, but you also got to remember he's not been sentenced yet. I think that's the caveat right now, is there's not been sentencing. Convicted, not sentenced. I think that's probably where the hang up is there. But yeah, I'm gonna hang out with Jenna for a minute, and I'll probably DJ and work on this Saturday's. We're hosting. We're the headliners this Saturday in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And then we got if y'all around Louisville, if you're in the Louisville area, Kip, sleep is the cousin of death. I will sleep when I die. But if you're in the Louisville area, not this weekend, next weekend, myself, the beautiful Jenna, and then Case and Ernie, we're gonna be rocking out Louisville, and this venue is lit. I was doing a little research today and we're headlining that one as well. That shit's gonna be fucking crazy. Babe, did you see the picture I sent you? It doesn't matter right now. I don't even know why I said why I'm live. But no, I'm gonna hang out with her for a minute, and then you'll see me on the ones and twos. And let me get this back in studio mode so I actually know what the fuck I'm doing. Yeah, if you want, I'll be jamming out. We can hang out here in a few. Love y'all.
All I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one. Do you understand?
You need people like me so you can burn your fucking fingers.
I am the prodigy, probably an oddity, commodity to fuck up your psychology. I honestly, possibly, constantly body these fucking wannabes. I am the novelty, fulfillment of the prophecy. I am apostasy's atrocity, demonstrably an anomaly. Just check the verbosity of my anthology. What you want, I do this shit unconsciously. I told you after Devil's Night, I'm coming down swinging, hit them with that boom, and keep their heads ringing. Boom, I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom, I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom, I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom, I told you what I do. But you sleep, I told you what I do. What if I just switch the flow, let the pieces fall, call it domino. I killing force. Idaho, you the hoe. I know you know how to ride this pole rodeo. Like fuck with you a little ripple, cripple. But I give you this pickle. What am I trying to say? If A can beat me, then we can see. And after that, yeah, you can get the D. Boom. I told you what I do. I told you what I do.